Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pasha Dadeshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So as we discussed quite a few features about the Bhagavad Gita in our introduction. So Bhagavad Gita has always been a very, very special book. There's a lot of books you will find in the market. It talks about self-help book. But that is the first self-help book, and you can call it the first motivational speaker. It's Krishna. So what is very unique about Bhagavad Gita is, also I wanted to point out here, is that Bhagavad Gita helps us to navigate, to reach to our destination. But a very proprietary to Bhagavad Gita, which is not found in any other tool, navigation tool, is it sets the destination itself. Like you use the Google map, it can take you to the destination, but you have to set the destination. But what is very unique about Bhagavad Gita is it will tell you the destination first, and it will take you to the destination. So Bhagavad Gita talks about what is the purpose of life, what is the goal of life, right? So we'll be learning a lot of key concepts here in Bhagavad Gita. And as we know that there's a battlefield, Kurukshetra, fighting. So yes, that is all reality. But metaphorically also, it continues. This battle continues. So now this battlefield of Kurukshetra has replaced by our heart. We have to take some decisions in our life. There's a lot of confusion, right? We have to make the choices. So there's a constant battle is going on in our heart, right? So it is very, very relevant. Sometimes people say, oh, how it is relevant? It is relevant or not? Yes, it is very, very relevant even today. So it was not that 5,000 years back, some fight happens, some battle happens, and why we are discussing all this? We should not be discussing, but it remains very, very relevant even today. Okay, so today we are going to give some summary on the first chapter. And before that, I want to point out few things which will help all the participants to learn better what we are doing. So if possible, I know that a lot of people are new people here. So ideally, everybody should carry the copy of Bhagavad Gita. So I'll be quoting some verses. It will be easy for you to just refer your own book and then read out the verse. And I'll be pointing out some key points and all of that. So it is possible you can have your copy of Bhagavad Gita. And as and when I points out, you can just check those verses and you can just mark those verses. That will help. If possible, some notebook, or you can just make some take notes in your mobile phones also. So that is one thing. But if you find it very difficult, no, I don't have Bhagavad Gita, please come to the temple. I'll be more than happy to gift you a Bhagavad Gita, copy of Gita. So that is the gift for those who are participating in this program. So please collect your gift in case you don't have the copy of Bhagavad Gita. And the Bhagavad Gita I'm referring to will be reading the Bhagavad Gita given by the translation given by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Bhagavad Gita as it is available online also, and you can have your personal copy also. So that will be really, really helpful. Okay. And apart from that, if somebody finds it very difficult, then no worries, you can just hear attentively. And that itself will be very, very helpful. So with these few points, and just brief introduction, because in detail we discussed about the introduction in the past. So let me begin the chapter first summary. So sometimes people ask this question that from where exactly Bhagavad Gita starts? Because practically you will see that Krishna did not speak in Bhagavad Gita first chapter. So we say Bhagavad Gita means song of God. Krishna is not talking only. Krishna is not saying anything in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So does the first chapter also counts in Bhagavad Gita, or it is apart from Bhagavad Gita? So we need to understand very carefully. Last time also I addressed this, that though Krishna did not speak, and the Bhagavad Gita, the very first verse begins with Dhritarashtra Vacha, who's the villain, right? So very different kind of a starting. Villain is saying something, but that contributes to the message for the one who is going to give you the message. So yes, it is very, very relevant, and also it sets our mind. It makes more relatable this whole subject matter. So you see that Dhritarashtra, who's completely blind, and Prabhupada explains he's not just physically blind, but he's blinded by greed, false ego, and all of those things. So actually, you can see in the first chapter, you'll find yourself when Arjuna is getting confused, bewildered. So you'll see, oh, this is what exactly my situation in this world is. I also get confused sometimes. I also am not able to take some decisions in my life. So the whole subject matters becomes very, very relatable and very relevant to us. So that is why this first chapter is very, very important to set the context for the whole message, right? So when the question is being asked that why we should read Bhagavad Gita first chapter, some people ask me this question. So this is the answer. It's very important to read and understand. We will set the context. Okay. So let's begin with this. So the first chapter, it is entitled as Observing the Armies on the Battle of Kurukshetra. Okay. So this chapter has 46 verses. Now in just 1 hour, it's not possible to go each and every verse, but I'll try to give my best in just 1 hour what we can do. So what we are summarizing this whole chapter is, we have made an acronym, and this acronym is, you will just remember, it's called doubt. If you remember this, you will be able to recollect the whole chapter. And let's move forward and see what is doubt. So D stands for Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, which is like 1 to 11 verses. It talks about that. O for ominous results, 12 to 19. U, uncertainty, 20 to 27. B is bewilderment, 28 to 30. And T is turning point, 31 to 42. And that is where it is closing to end. Okay, so you remember doubt, and that much you can recall the whole chapter. And we'll discuss more detail now. So let us talk about this doubt, Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. Okay, so initial 11 verse talks about that. So how does it begin is, we see that two characters, actually two set of people here in Bhagavad Gita. So one side you see Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, and another side you see Krishna and Arjuna, right? So now this Dhritarashtra has been the mastermind actually. Though he looks like a blind person, but he is the mastermind, like a mafia don, right? And he sends sometimes his person out in the market. So nobody knows the mafia don, but those people in the market, they do all Vandagirdi. People knows that. So Duryodhana is that person. So Dhritarashtra represents the wrong intentions and Duryodhana represents the wrong action. On the other hand, you will see Krishna and Arjuna. Krishna represents the right intentions and Arjuna represents the right actions. So these are the personalities here involved. So let us look at this. So this is the very first verse of Bhagavad Gita, which says, Dhritarashtra Vacha Dharma Kshetre Guru Kshetre Samaveta Yuyusavaha Bhamaka Pandava Shaiva Kim Akurvada Sanjaya. Translation, which is given by Srila Prabhupada. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? So this is the question. And the whole Bhagavad Gita is answer to this one question. Okay, so very, very important question. And we'll try to spend some time understanding this verse, relatively a little more time. For other verses, we will not be able to spend much time. So it says, Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre. So this Kurukshetra, now there is a place near to Delhi. People can go and visit that place. Sometimes people say, oh no, this is all metaphorical. There's no battle happened as such. And people say Pandavas are like our five senses. Kauravas are like our bad, vices inside. And this Kurukshetra is like our body. People give all those kind of interpretations. Yes, so we can take the metaphorical meaning also, but there is actual meaning also to the verse. So there is a Kurukshetra place and which is addressed at Dharma Kshetra. And there is a region, the Shastra explains about why Kurukshetra is addressed as Dharmakshetra. There's multiple reasons. I'll give you a few reasons here. So this Kurukshetra was named after the king Kuru, right? And then there's a lot of great sages who performed a lot of austerity in this place. So because of that austerity performed by the sages, it becomes a very potent place, a spiritually potent place, right? And also, Indra benedicted King Kuru that anyone who leaves the body in Kurukshetra will go to heaven. So it's not an ordinary place. So that is why this Kurukshetra is addressed as Dharmakshetra. It's a very, very auspicious place, religious place, right? So the lesson what we have to learn from here is that every place has its own potency. Now that is why sometimes many of us might have experienced when you come to the temple, there is a different kind of feeling, different kind of vibrations we experience. You go to the office, a lot of anxiety. You go to the bar, a lot of ignorance, right? So the place has its own potency. So why this question has been asked, like Prabhupada explains, Prabhupada says, he is asking, Kim akurvat Sanjaya? Dhritarashtra is asking, what did my sons and the sons of Pandu did? Prabhupada is saying, he is explaining that when somebody comes for the dinner on the dinner table, you invited them, and then you ask that, okay, after they come to the dinner table, what did they do? What they will do? They'll eat dinner. They're as simple as that. But still, somebody is asking question, it means there is a deeper meaning to this. Because Dhritarashtra is quite aware of the influence of the place. So he knows this Kurukshetra is not being an ordinary place. It's a very, very spiritually potent place. And these Pandavas, they're very religious people, very pious people. And on the contrary, my sons, they're all useless people. Like he might not be thinking, but he knows. They're all sinful people, the Kauravas, right? So then place will influence the religious people, the pious people more favorably. So the whole place itself will be in their favor. So the Dhritarashtra is becoming too anxious that once they go there, what did they do? Right? What they will do? So he's quite concerned that they should not negotiate because they should not be, Pandavas should not be able to influence my sons because the place is in favor of Pandavas. So if there's something, or my sons also, they agree because they were asking 5 villages. So if they say, okay, take 5 villages and finish this battle, Dhritarashtra, he did not want all this to happen. So that is what his mentality shows here. And also another word has been used here. If you look at this verse, say, Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva. So what is saying that my sons and Pandavas, the sons of Pandu, what did they do? So he's actually separating them. Now, Pandavas and Kauravas, the Pandavas are also as much as Kauravas as the Kauravas because they come from the same Kuru family. So actually, technically, the Pandavas also can be addressed as Kauravas. But look at his separated mentality, saying my son and the sons of Pandu. So he's already separating them. Though they're all family members, they're related, cousins, right? So that shows his mentality. And then he's asking that what did they do there? So we're talking about the place has its own potency. Actually, there's a nice story. This one time, this is a real story. Few decades back when Prabhupada was here in America, and he was preaching, and a lot of devotees, they used to go out in the street and they'll do the Sankirtan. Right? So one time all these devotees are going out in the street and then Sankirtan is doing. So this person who was into all, drug dealer, into, mafia. So he was chased by some cops and he was just running, and when this devotee was going in the street, the Sankirtan, and just to escape, he just, merged into that crowd so that cops cannot, identify him. And then he has to be with the crowd all the way. And these people went to the temple. And then he reached the temple. He says, looks like it's a safer place. So let me stay here only in the temple, unless, I feel a little confident to go out. So I started to stay in the temple. And those days, things were much easy. Like anybody can walk in and they can stay in the temple. And then all the devotees, they gave him nice prasadam and they introduced about chanting and gave him some book. So, okay, chant Hare Krishna mantra and let's read some book. And then he was pulled into following all the morning to evening program. What a devotee, the full-time devotee in the temple will do. He was waken up in the morning, 4 o'clock for Mangalarti. He says, okay, maybe let me just go whatever these people are saying. Let me follow. Then he was asked to chant. Then he was asked to do some seva. So like that, few days he spent. And then his heart started getting transformed. So then he started to understand what I'm doing. And one day he realized that I'm cheating all these people here, because his heart transformed. And he went to the temple president and he says that, actually, I want to say something. He says, oh, yeah, please say something. He says, I'm not what you're thinking that I am. Temple president, yeah, that is what is your philosophy. You're not the body, you're the soul. So no, I didn't mean that. I mean, and then he narrated the whole story. And then this temple president guided him that you go to the police, first submit yourself. And then once you are done with your punishment or whatever, and then come back and join us. Right? We're going to take the risk to keep some criminal like in the temple. Like that. So he goes and he submitted, and then there was a court case against him. Right? And then this person goes for the court case, and then this he narrated the whole story, and it was a very fascinating story to the judge. The judge asked him, he was quite curious, and he asked that okay, tell me what and all you used to do in the temple. So he says, I'll get at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'll take a cold shower bath to go for Mangala Aarti. Then 2 hours we have to chant, meditate, and then after that we'll give a little something prashadam. Then we'll do some seva. Then we'll go out in the street to distribute books. Evening again we come back, do some seva. And the judge was like, is fascinated and amazed. He says, you're already living a life of such an austerity. What more punishment you want? Better you just go and continue that. So see how Krishna arranged all that. So the point is that place has its own potency to transform. So that is the question that is asking. That is the concern that Dhritarashtra is getting worried and is asking, what did they do? Actually, there's nothing to ask about that, but he's asking like that. So there's a lot of such, real-time stories. There's another, this short story. This one, yoga instructor were there. So this person thought of, making some tattoo. So somehow he got that idea of, I should tattoo some Sanskrit words. Now he's not into any Sanskrit language and all that, Brazilian yoga instructor. So then he asked some of his friends and he says, I heard that there's something called Bagavad Gita. It is all in Sanskrit. So get that book and then you find something which finds, very attractive to you and pick something and show to someone and they'll just tattoo that, right? So then he thought, if I just randomly pick something and tattoo, I should know the meaning of that, what I'm tattooing. Right? He said, okay, let me read the verses. And that is how he started reading the verses of Bhagavad Gita. In the course of reading with the idea of tattooing his arms, Krishna tattooed his heart. He completely changed. He understood the philosophy of life. And he says, I want to join the temple. So like that, this wonderful, very, very fascinating stories. So that is the power of the place. That is the power of the association of devotees. In the past, we discussed about this power of association, right? If you all remember ABCD, A is for association. Okay. So another thing we are talking about, he's saying, Mamaka Pandavaschaiva. So that shows his separatist mentality. So we should learn me to we consciousness. Right? So he's thinking in terms of me, my sons and Pandavas, and he's separating them. So we see there's a lot of examples in the scriptures. Let us look at me examples. Who are these people who are like self-possessed, always into me. So we see this Kamsa. We know the story that how, as soon as there was an aerial voice that the son of Devaki will kill you, immediately become self-conscious. Forgot about that Devaki is my sister and it is today only got married and he just forgot everything and ready to kill. So this is the sign of me conscious. And then there is another story of Dhruv Maharaj also, that Dhruv Maharaj's stepmother, Suruchi, she was also too me conscious. She was saying, oh, if you want to sit on the lap of your father, then you have to take birth from my womb, get lost from here. So that is how she insulted Dhruv Maharaj. Too me conscious, right? So these are me conscious. How we can change into we conscious. We means we always not selfish, but selflessly we want to serve others also and take everyone together and just keep forwarding, keep moving forward. So we have wonderful examples like the Pandavas. A lot of stories, though there was a rift in the family, but there is a story that one time this Duryodhana and party, these people, they wanted to tease the Pandavas when they're in the forest already in the Vanvas. So they wanted to tease them and they wanted to show their opulence. So they go and put a camp and they wanted to enjoy there. So they went to one water river and they wanted to enjoy and do some sporting in the water. But some Gandharvas from the celestial planets, they're already there. So this Duryodhana was very egoistic person. He says, I get lost from here, without realizing who are those people. So this Gandharva says, who is this, silly fellow who's coming us and talking like this? So then they captured Duryodhana and whole team, not Duryodhana alone. All these big Maharathis were there, Duryodhana, Karna and all of that. They're captured. They didn't realize these Gandharvas are like super powerful people. They're captured. And then these Pandavas on the opposite side of the river, they could see the whole thing. So then immediately Yudhishthira Maharaj says that our brothers, they're in trouble. See, he would have easily said, no, okay, everything is over. These Gandharvas will teach them a nice lesson. They'll cook them and eat today only, and or we'll go back and take over. But he didn't do that. What he did, he says it is our duty to save our brothers, cousin brothers. When it comes to us, they're 100 and we are 5. But if some outsider comes, then we are 105. So that is called the we conscious. So immediately, Arjuna was sent there, and Arjuna was so powerful that he defeated Gandharvas and all that. And he saved Duryodhana and Karna and everyone. So that is also another evidence. Sometimes people say, oh, Karna was more powerful than Arjuna. All this kind of, discussion comes. So that is one incident wherein the Karna was even defeated by Gandharvas and captured, and Arjuna single-handedly goes and defeated the Gandharvas and released them from the encapturement of these people, Gandharvas. Right? So this is we consciousness. We see Prahlad Maharaj. So there's beautiful words from Prahlad Maharaj's teachings. It comes, he says that Lord asked him that what do you want? Because Lord was very happy and said, tell me what you want. So Prahlad Maharaj, he says, my dear Lord, I'm not concerned about myself. Because Mahamratya Chittaha, he says that I'm constantly absorbed in chanting your holy name. So I'm blissful. I have no problem, no complaints. My only concern is all these foolish people in this material world. They're just wandering here without realizing what is the purpose of life. They're thinking that they're making arrangements to be happy, but they're making their lives more miserable. So my concern is these people. So that shows we conscious. So Lord is saying, please come back to Vaikuntha world. He said, no, I want to stay here. And unless all the people, conditioned soul, goes back, I can't go back just like that. So that shows the we consciousness. Right? And then another wonderful example is Srila Prabhupada. Now, Prabhupada, such a revered sannyasi sitting in Vrindavan, blissfully in the temple, in a whole atmosphere so surcharged spiritually, he left Vrindavan. Why he will leave a sannyasi and come to this world, this country, amidst of all the hippies, uncultured people, highly uncultured people, all kinds of sinful activities. And he sacrificed all his comforts, spiritual comforts, and is living here. Why? Somebody asked Srila Prabhupada that Swamiji, I see that you keep traveling all the time. Why you travel so much? You're an old sannyasi. You should sit in one place, do bhajan. Prabhupada says, I'm traveling to stop you all travel into 8.4 million species of life. So I had to travel to stop you to travel into 8.4 million species. So I have come here. So you see, this is what is the selfless consciousness. And they are not concerned about their own personal comforts. So we learn this from this verse, me to we consciousness. So I'll just read out, this is the portion of the purport. So that shows another thing is attachment makes a person blind. So this Dhritarashtra is not just physically blind, but he was blinded by greed. More, he was blinded by attachment. So one time before the battle begins, so what happens, this Vyasadeva, many people try to counsel Dhritarashtra that why you are getting into this such a fratricidal war. You should settle down outside in the battlefield only. So Vyasadeva also attempted one time, and he comes and he tried to counsel. And this Dhritarashtra was such a blind person. He would always have such silly excuses. He says, whatever you're destined, it will happen. So he's talking about Devavada. We'll talk about those concepts in the future discussions. That people sometimes say that, okay, whatever is destined, it will happen. But Bhagavad Gita doesn't support this philosophy. There's much more to this. We'll talk in our future discussions. So Vyasadeva, he was telling him that, you should do something. If you are the king, you are the ruling king. If you pass the order, everything will be stopped. Why you want all this, destruction to happen? And he was giving all the silly excuses. He did not consider Vyasadeva's request. And then finally Vyasadeva says, if you are not listening to me, though you're blind, but I'll give you the vision so that you can, sitting here, you can see that what the devastation is awaiting in the battlefield. You will see what and all happen. So I'm going to give you the vision. And then Dhritarashtra was scared. Say, no, I don't want that vision. And then Vyasadeva says, okay, if you don't want, I'll give to my disciple Sanjay. So Sanjay was the secretary to Dhritarashtra. And by the mercy of Vyasadeva, he got the vision that sitting in the palace, in the room, he could see the whole episode, what is happening in the battlefield, like a TV relay, like, nowadays telecast, live telecast. So he got that power to do the live telecast by the mercy of Vyasadeva. So he was such a blind person. Prabhupada says here in the purport, please pay attention. And those who are having the Bhagavad Gita, anyway, I can just read from here. As in the paddy field, the unnecessary plants are taken out. So it is expected from the very beginning of these topics that in the religious field of Kurukshetra, where the father of religion, Sri Krishna, was present, the unwanted plants like Dhritarashtra's son, Duryodhana and others would be wiped out, and the thoroughly religious persons headed by Yudhishthira would be established by the Lord. This is the significance of the words Dharmakshetra and Kurukshetra, apart from their historical and Vedic importance. So Prabhupada, in the very first purport of the Bhagavad Gita, he established that what is the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So now the second verse, which is spoken by Sanjay. So Sanjay says, what he does is, he points out Dronacharya. Drashtvadu Pandavaniham Vyodam Duryodhanastada Acharyam Upsangamyam Rajavatnam Abravit Pashyadam Pandaputranam Acharyam Mahatim Chamom Vyodam Drupadaputrena Tavisishyena Dhimata. So what he's saying, Duryodhana comes in the scene now. So Sanjay is telling this. Duryodhana comes and he goes to the Dronacharya and he points him out. He says, my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada, Drishtadyumna. So he's pointing him out sarcastically. Now there is a background to this. What happened is Dronacharya and Drupada, they are friends in Gurukul. So Dronacharya has been a very poor family background, and this Drupada has been always from the royal family. So one time he just, said that when we'll grow up, we are good friends. And when I'll become the king, I'll give you a big portion of my kingdom. He just promised like that. In those days, the civilization was like that. Once you say, you have to follow that. So later when he became king, and one time this Dronacharya was like very, very poor. Right? His son, Ashwatthama, he could not even afford to give him the milk, to feed him the milk, that poor. So one time the wife of Dronacharya said that, go to your friend king, ask some help. So he goes there and he was right away, he was, rejected by this Drupada. He says, get lost. What friendship you're talking here? The kings and you poor guy, we cannot be friends. Get lost. He said, but you made a promise. So I don't remember any promise. Like that. So he got so offended, Drona. So he said, I had to teach him the lesson. He's becoming too egoistic because he's in power. So then Drona, took up a job of a teacher, and he was teaching all these Pandavas in the Kuru family, trained them, and Arjuna in the due course became his favorite student. So one time then Arjuna asked for the Guru Dakshina. So Dronacharya says, my Guru Dakshina is go and capture this Drupada. And he was quite confident that Arjuna can do this. So Arjuna says, okay, whatever you say, I'll just go and do that. So he goes, and he was so powerful, he captured Drupada, the king, the ruling king. And then he brought him to Dronacharya. And Dronacharya also kind of insulted him, and he said, okay, now leave him on the mercy. So it was it's a big insult to a Kshatriya who was captured and left on the mercy. So then he was quite furious and offended. He said, what is this? These people made a, joke out of me. This is not the way. I had to take some revenge against. So then he performed a yajna. And with the intention of that, from this yajna, one child will be produced, and that child will kill this Dronacharya in the future. Now it was all public. It was not some secretly, it was happening. Everybody knew that. And then he did the yajna, and thus his son was born. Who was the son of Drupada? Dhritarashtra, right? That is mentioned here. So everybody knew about Dhritarashtra will kill in the future Dronacharya. But when he grew up, he had to get trained in the military arts. So he says, go and learn from Dronacharya. See how the culture was. We need to understand very carefully, think very deeply. So he says, go to the Dronacharya. Now Dronacharya has been a Brahmana. He knows that this person is going to kill me tomorrow. And if I trained him, then the day is not far. But still, he accepted me as a disciple and gave him all the military arts, secrets. So that has been a Brahminical culture. Brahmana cannot lie. That is what is the real Brahmana is. Brahmana is not someone who puts some thread, 2 paisa thread, and keep posing himself, I'm a Brahmana. Not like that. Brahmana is by education, by culture. Right? So that has been the Brahminical culture. So this is the story. So he says, look at this now. Now this, Duryodhana is pointing out to Dronacharya. Now look at this. You only trained this guy, Dhritarashtra. Now he has become the military, commander-in-chief there, and he arranged the whole army, the wonderful army. So he's pointing out him, just be a little careful. You have done this foolishness in the past, don't do any foolishness anymore, like that. So he was such a person that is pointing out his own teacher. So that is 2 and 3. Now we'll go a little fast. We spend a little more time on first verse. So, okay, those who are referring to the book, you can look at the books. Text number 4, 5, and 6. It talks about Pandava's army. Okay, so it mentions the names of all the great Maharathis, great warriors in the army of Pandavas. So it says Bhima, Arjuna, Virata, Duryodhana, Drupada, Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashi, Raja, Purjit, Kunti Bhoj, and Savya. Now we don't have the time to go in the details of who are those people, but it's a summary. In the future, in the detailed course, we'll talk about all these personalities. So this is Pandava's army, 4 to 6, and then 7 to 9 is mentioned Kaurava's army. So who are mentioned in the Kaurava's army? It is much bigger army, but some major and main prominent personalities have been mentioned. So Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwathama, Vikarna, and Bhurishra. So these are the people in the Kaurava's army. Now, one important point that I want to bring you notice is, see, Bhishma, Karna, and all these people, Ashwathama, they're all powerful people. So their address understood. But you see one name here, this Vikarna. So Vikarna is not really very great hero, not a very powerful person. But still, this Duryodhana is mentioning his name. Oh, all this Bhishma, Karna, Vikarna, and all of that. There is a reason. Why he mentioned his name is, out of 100 Kauravas, there's only one brother who was Vikarna, who opposed when Draupadi was stripped naked in the assembly. He opposed that, oh, what you are doing is not right. Right? So he was kind of slightly on the side of Pandavas. So this Duryodhana, being very diplomatic king, wanted to mention that, oh, this person opposed us in the past. What if he changed the party now? We already had all our secret discussions. If we change the party at this point and he goes and reveal all the secrets, then whole thing is lost. So he wanted to take him into confidence by mentioning his name equal to all this Bhishma, Karna, and all that. So this is a diplomatic way of thinking and acting. So that is why it is. Okay, now very important verse. Text 10 says, Aparyaptam tadasmagam balam bhishma virakshitam paryaptam tuidam etesham balam bhima virakshitam. So now Duryodhana is saying that our strength is immeasurable and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma. Whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. There is a comparison. Saying, oh, we have all great heroes, Bhishma, Karna, and all of them. What is all these people? Poor people? Like ants. Bhima is not powerful like Bhishma. So our strength is unlimited. And their strength is very, very limited. So this is what is the problem of a modern materialistic person. What we think, we do our own material calculation. We think, oh, my strength is I have money, I have contacts, I have big friends, some politicians. This is what is my strength is. Right? But the actual reality is something else. So there is a story, the famous story from the Mahabharata. Today I will be telling a lot of story because they're quite relatable here in this context. So we know that how one time when before the battle, before the war, that Arjuna and Duryodhana, they approached Lord Sri Krishna. So Krishna already declared that I'll not fight. And you have two options. Either you choose me, choose my army, Narayani Sena, which is informidable army. Nobody can defeat that army, Krishna's army. And then when both of them goes, so Krishna was taking rest. He was lying down. So Arjuna goes and sit at the feet of Krishna. And Duryodhana goes and sit towards the head of Krishna. So when Krishna opened the eyes, he saw Arjuna first. Krishna says, okay, what do you want? So he says, we are here to just take your blessings, your guidance. He says, okay, I'll give the chance to Arjuna first, because I saw him first. So he'll get the first chance. Now Duryodhana was like becoming restless. So what if Arjuna asked the Narayani Sena? There are only two choices, Narayani Sena and Krishna. Krishna will not fight. So what is the use of having Krishna in our camp? Narayani Sena is very important. And then chance was given to Arjuna. So he was becoming too anxious. And Arjuna says, my dear Lord, I don't want anything, I want you. He says, but Arjuna, just to remind you, I'll not be fighting. So no worries, you just be on our side. So this is what is the real calculations. If we have Lord's mercy, Lord's blessings in our life, then all your other possessions, powers, positions, which we feel so confident about in our life, nothing helps. And that is a practical example. Duryodhana took the Narayani Sena. What happened to that Sena? Nothing, everything was finished. And on the other side, Pandavas, Arjuna took Krishna. Krishna did not fight also. Still, the Pandavas came victorious. So it's a very, very important lesson that we need to very carefully read these verses and drive this, lessons from this. So our mental calculation doesn't help. So what we should aspire and ask, only thing in our life is Lord's blessings. If we have the blessings of Krishna, then you are a really successful person. If you lose Krishna in your life and you sacrifice Krishna in your life and have everything of the world, then still you are a loser. All right. So this is the lesson here from the 10th verse comparison. Okay, we'll go to the text 11. So in text 11, he says, so Duryodhana dealing very diplomatically. So because he mentioned few names, Bhishma, Karna and all that. So he thought so many people are there, they might feel bad that, oh, what you're just thinking about those people. We are also powerful people. We did not mention our name. So he should be a little diplomatic and pacify everyone. All right. So he says, now all of you must give your full support to grandfather Bhishma, standing at your respective strategic points in the phalanx of the army. So he says, oh, you are all very important. And not just important, he's saying that all of you should give protection to Bhishma Dev. He's the commander-in-chief. The enemy might attack. So you should give him the support. So you're all very, very important to take care of Bhishma. So like that, very diplomatically he's dealing here. And then after hearing all this, Bhishma Deva, just to give him the joy, he blows the conch shell, give the joy to Duryodhana. So actually indirectly Bhishma Deva saying that Duryodhana, you have no hope. Bhishma Deva knew already. Bhishma Deva is one of the pure devotee of Krishna. He knew. Right? So he's blowing the conch shell just to, pacify him, give him some joy. But he knew inside the heart. So that is the first section. But that D, we're talking about doubt. So we discussed about D, Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra, 1 to 11. Let us move on to the next section, which is O. O stands for ominous results, 12 to 19. Okay, so here Bhishma, he blows his conch shell, and then there's a lot of musical instruments were blown, and the whole environment was so tumultuous by different, sounds like that. And then the hero's entry happens here. Who is the hero of Bhagavad Gita? Krishna is the hero. So you should all know that this is where Krishna's entry happens. So it's like a movie is going on. So many scenes are happening. People are in trouble. Something is happening. And suddenly the hero comes. Sound changes. Right? The music changes. And the camera also suddenly shifts from somewhere to somewhere. And then he will show the camera slowly. Like we had the experience of these Bollywood movies. Bollywood, Hollywood movie. So everything is copied from here originally. You see how the hero is shown? The hero will come in a car. The door will open. Right? He'll get down. First they'll show him shoes. The camera keeps moving, going up. And then some body part. And then finally, the face is shown. So that is how the hero's entry happens. Exactly this is what is happening here. Tata Swaiter Hayer Yukte Mahati Shandana Istito Madhava Pandava Shaiva Divyo Sankho Pradatmatuhu. So how Lord is entering here? Tata Swaiter Hayer Yukter Mahati Shandana Istito. He comes in a beautiful, very brilliant chariot, and which is drawn by Swaiter Hayer. Hayer means horses, white horses. So that is the car. It's coming. Chariot. Right, he enters. And who's coming? Madhava Pandava Shaiva. Madhava means Krishna. So now, Krishna, as last time I told, that Krishna has been addressed in the entire Bhagavad Gita with 33 different names. So this is the first name of Krishna has been used in Bhagavad Gita. First name of Krishna is Madhava. All, secretive questions. You can impress the people by asking this question or answering such question. So the first time Krishna's name is mentioned in 1.40, and that name is Madhava. So on the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conchal. Okay. So now, one side we saw that Bhishma and all those people, they blew the conchal, and now Krishna and Pandava is referred to Arjuna here. So they're blowing the conchals. So this is how the battle begins. And there has to be the conchal blow. So now we'll see. There's a different signs of victories of Pandavas right here in the very beginning. So a few points. Let's take the note of it. Number one, Krishna's presence on the side of Pandavas. That itself proves that they'll come out victorious. And then Krishna is addressed as Madhava. Meaning of Madhava. Anybody knows what is the meaning of Madhava? One quick question. To those who are joining, you can put your answer in the chat. If you know, quickly, I can look at the chat. What is the meaning of Madhava? I think it is taking too much time. I'll only tell the answer. Okay, Madhava means the husband of goddess of fortune, Lakshmipati. So, Krishna is addressed as Madhava here. Why is addressed as Madhava here? Because wherever Krishna is there, or where the Narayana is there, Lakshmi is always there. So this is also another sign, the presence of goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi. Krishna is there, all the prosperity, Lakshmi Devi is there. And then war taking place in the holy place, Kurukshetra. So we already discussed the influence of power of the place, right? That will also favor the Pandavas. And then Krishna's conchal is addressed as Divya Sankha, not ordinary. So that this blowing of the transcendental conchal itself proves that they will come out victorious. So these are the different signs of victory of Pandavas. And then conchal is a symbol of Vishnu, and it always works for devotees. So these are the few points that we can take in the note. So from the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, if you read carefully, this is already decided what is going to happen. But still a lot of things will happen in the due course. Okay. So a text 15 to 18. Panchajanyam Rishi Kesho Deva Dattam Dhananjaya Pondram Dadma Mahashankam Bhima Karma Vrakodara. So 15 to 18, I'll not be reading 16, 17, 18, but different conch has been mentioned. So Krishna's conch, this will be the assignment for all of you to learn all this. Especially you can teach your kids, those are the small kids. So Krishna's conchal is known as Panchajanya. Arjuna's conchal is Devadatta. Yudhishthir's conchal is named as Ananta Vijaya. Bhima's conchal is Pandra. And then Nakula is called Shugos. And Sahadeva's is called Manipushpak. So please memorize that, learn that, and teach to your kids especially. And this is a small assignment. And you can refer 15 to 18 words. You want to refer that. Okay. So after that, this is the 19th verse, which says another important verse. Sa ghosho dhatra rashtanam hridayani vidaryat navasya pratvim cheva tumalo abhyadunanayan. So this verse says there is shattering of the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. And all this Krishna and Pandavas, when they blew the conch shell, the heart shattered, that sound itself. So that also shows what is going to happen. So when they blew the conch shell, there's no such mention of heart shattering of the Pandavas. But when Krishna, along with all the Pandavas, When they blew the conch shell, this is what exactly happened, right? So that is where, and the second section, which is O. O stands for ominous results. So we discussed about D, O. Now we'll come to the third section, which is U. U is uncertainty. So in the 20th verse, he says, I'll just read the translation. O king, at that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, who was seated in chariot, his flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. Looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra, O king, Arjuna then spoke to Rishikesha these words. So he is almost ready to go there. And one important point also to take the note says Dhritarashtra Kapi Dhuja. So it is mentioned that Arjuna chariot is, the flag on the chariot is marked with Hanuman. Kapi, Hanumanji is sitting there. And Prabhupada explains in the purport that is also another sign of victory for Pandavas. Prabhupada mentioned that Hanumanji played a very, very key role in Ramayana to get the victory over the demon Ravan, supporting and helping Lord Ramchandra. Now here, Lord Ramchandra is there in the form of Krishna, and Hanumanji also sitting on the chariot of Arjuna. So then the victory is already determined. There's no if and but. So like that, we can see here. So he says, okay. And he spoke to Rishikesha. So the second name, first name Krishna is addressed is, what is the first? Madhava. What is the second name of Krishna? Okay. Now quick question. Where is the second name is mentioned of Krishna? Which verse? Okay. So text number 15. Panchajanyam Rishikesha Devadattam Dhananjaya. So Rishikesha is the master of the senses. Rishikesha means Rishika Isha. Ish means Ishwar, who's the master of the senses. So Krishna is addressed as the master of the senses. Right. So then Krishna spoke this. What he spoke? Very, very important verse of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so I'm only just showing some key important verses. So I showed you text number 1, text number 14. Of course, all the verses are important. But with our kind of a program, we can just focus on few verses. So you can learn all these verses later. Okay, 21 and 22. So now Arjuna is speaking. What is saying? Arjuna vacha senyorobhyor madhye radam sthapayamechyuta yavadeta niriksheham yoddu kamanavastithan kermaya sah yodavyam ashmin ranasamudyame. So what is saying? Arjuna is saying to Krishna now. What is saying? Senyor ubhyor madhye, between both the Sena, between the two armies, Ratham Stapatam me Achyuta. Take my Ratha. And Krishna is addressed here as another name. What is his name? It is already there in the screen. Achyuta. So Madhava, Rishikesha, Achyuta. And Prabhupada gives a wonderful meaning and reasons for why he is addressed with different names. So I explained about Madhava and Rishikesha. Here he is addressed as Achyuta. Why? Prabhupada explains. So he says, Arjuna is actually kind of ordering because Krishna accepted, though he is the Supreme Lord, but he accepted such a humble position as being the driver, chariot driver, right? Sarathi, Krishna. And then he's saying, okay, please take my Rath. I want to Niriksheham. I want to see. Nirikshan. That is what is the name of the chapter. Observing the armies on the battlefield. Nirikshan Karna. So you want to see the armies on the battlefield. He says, okay, take my chariot amidst of both the armies. Right? So why, it's very important, let us discuss about this. Why Krishna is addressed as Achyuta here. So Achyuta means infallible. So Krishna is infallible. Krishna never falls. Krishna never fails. Remember this. Krishna never falls. Krishna never fails. He never falls means he never falls from his position. Though he has taken up a job of a driver, but he doesn't become actually like a driver. Means he has taken that out of his Bhakta Vassalta. Lord is always, have so much love for his devotees that he can go to any extent. He doesn't care about public opinion. Like, this driver is not a very reputed job in the society. People say, hey, driver. So Krishna did not care. So for my devotee, I can become driver. And not only driver, actually in the Bhagavatam there is a verse. He says Krishna became the doorkeeper. He became the night watcher. He became their servants. And he followed Yudhishthir Maharaj as if his servant. Whatever Yudhishthir Maharaj will say, he will just, follow the order. That is how he was acting. Because Yudhishthir Maharaj was elderly in age. So he respected him. So Krishna can take any position for his devotees. Driver, servant or whatever. But still, his position is not compromised or minimized. So Krishna never fails. Never falls. He is Achyuta. And also, he never fails. He never fails in showing his love for his devotees. Right? So that is what it is coming here. So Krishna is Achyuta. And what we are? We are all fallen. Krishna is infallible. Achyuta, we are all Chutas. We are all fallible. We have fallen here in this material existence. And we are just struggling and going round and round into the repeated cycle of birth and death. That is what is our position. So though Krishna comes here in this material world, but still is not fallen. He comes by his own sweet will. So that is a very, very important characteristic of Krishna has been addressed here as Krishna Achyuta. Okay. Okay. We'll just go a little more fast now. So now Sanjay says, Eva Mukto Rishikesho Gudakeshena Bharata Sehnyorubhyor Madhya Sthapitva Rathottamam. So Lord Krishna draw the chariot because he says, okay, take my chariot. He brings the chariot here. And then says, Gudakeshena Bharata. Arjuna is addressed as Gudakesh here. What is the meaning of Gudakesh? Can someone tell the answer? Answer is already there on the screen.
Inquiring.
Gudakesha means conqueror of sleep. One who's conquered over sleep. So thus Arjuna, he got that expertise. He was so determined that whole night he will be sitting and practicing shooting the arrows. And there is a story like one time he was eating the food and then suddenly that lamp was, glowing and suddenly there is a wind blew and that lamp was off and it was dark, pitch dark, and Krishna continued to eat. Then he realized, I can eat in the dark. It's not going here, there. It's going in the mouth. If I can eat in the dark, I can practice shooting the arrows in the dark. So determined. And he started doing whole night, whole day. In the Gurukul he will practice. And then everybody is sleeping fast asleep. And then in the night also he is practicing. So that is how he became Gudakesh. Conqueror of sleep. He conquered the sleep. Most difficult thing in the world. 2 days we don't sleep, how we become crazy. Right? If you sleep too much, you become lazy. If you sleep too less, you become crazy. Right? So sleep is very, very important. But he conquered in sleep. But Prabhupada explains that sleep is also, should understand the ignorance. He conquered over the ignorance. How he conquered the ignorance? Always remembering Krishna. So if we want to conquer our ignorance, Agyanta, then we should always practice to chant and remember Krishna. That is the way that we can also become Gudakesh, not in terms of conquering over the sleep, but we can conquer over the ignorance. Okay, so he brought this, Krishna brought the chariot, and then Krishna, he says, this is also another very important verse, 25th. Bhishma Drona Pramukataha Sarvesham cha Maikshitam Uvacha Partha Pashetan Samavetan Kuruniti. So he brought the chariot right in front of Bhishma Drona Pramukataha. Krishna is also very smart. Krishna would have brought the chariot right in front of Duryodhana. Probably 18 days, the war will not continue. That day only Arjuna was, would have killed him and finished the whole battle. But he did not bring him in front of Duryodhana. Because Krishna has some plan. So he brought him in front of Bhishma and Drona. And last time in the introduction, so those who missed the introduction, you can go and check out our YouTube. It is there recording. Some important points we discussed. So we see that because he wanted to put Arjuna into that bewilderment. Right? So he got confused, completely bewildered. So when he saw Bhishma and Drona, he was completely confused, started to bewilder now. So see that how the illusion comes. How illusion comes? Comes from the eyes. Sometimes you see something and you're completely confused. And how the illusion goes? goes by ears. Hear from the scriptures, get the right perspective. So illusion comes from the eyes, and when it can go through the ear. It can happen other way also. Sometimes illusion comes through the ear also. What is the example? Mantra and Kekai. She was very loving to Ram, Kekai. Mantra came and said something. Completely illusion. Right? So it happens. So our perception, it impacts our emotions. So we should have the right perspective. And what is the right perspective is given in the scriptures. Otherwise, we create our own reference point, our own perspective, and then we keep getting confused and bewildered. So that is the point here. Okay. So then in 26 and 27, Arjuna sees all his relatives on the battlefield. So there's a lot of relatives are mentioned here. His fathers, grandfathers, teachers, and all those names are mentioned, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and he was completely bewildered. So this is the end of third section. Now let us look at the fourth section, which is B. So we discussed D, O, U, uncertainty, and then now we are come to the B, which is bewilderment. So these three verses, 28, 29, and 30, very, very important verse. A lot of points to learn here, but we'll see. We'll discuss just few selective points here. So what is happening is, I'm not reading the verses. Arjuna now will present the 5 arguments for not fighting, starting from this verse, 28 till the end of the chapter, and continues one reason in the next chapter also. So Arjuna gave 5 reasons, very powerful, very solid reasons for not fighting. It is not shared. I don't know, I can't do anything. Just move it or something. Something goes wrong. Just close this, close this. It was kicked out. I think you have to sign in into Gita Live. Okay, if somebody is technical, call Rasrani Manashi will do. Okay, don't worry. I'll just talk. It'll come through the ears, not from the eyes. Okay. So 28, 29, and 30. Okay, I want all of you to remember these 5 reasons that Arjuna is going to give for not fighting. The first reason is C, compassion. Compassion for his relatives. So this is the resultant bodily symptom. Okay, so what happens in these 3 verses has been explained. That is, body is trembling. So Arjuna is saying now, my body is trembling, my hair is standing on end, feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. My bow Gandhi was slipping from my hand and my skin is burning. I'm unable to stand here any longer. I'm forgetting myself and my mind is reeling, completely bewildered. All right. So you see what is happening here? Body is trembling, hair is standing on end, the limbs of the body is quivering, and then to the extent that he was not able to hold his own Gandiva. You can just think of the situation, that person who always carries the bow is finding it difficult to hold it. He becomes so powerless because of he was overwhelmed by this compassion. So he says, I cannot fight. Right? So Prabhupada makes some wonderful points here. So you can read that. I'll just selectively read from the purport. So from the 28th verse, Prabhupada says in the purport, he says, such symptoms in Arjuna were not due to weakness, but to his soft-heartedness, a characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord. So what Prabhupada is saying, Arjuna is not weak because this is the symptom of a pure devotee. So then he is feeling all that. And then in the 29th verse, please pay attention, very important, from the purport I'm reading. He became so impatient that his famous bow, Gandiva, was slipping from his hands. And because his heart was burning within him, he was feeling a burning sensation of the skin. All these are due to a material conception of life. So you see, in just 2 verses, Prabhupada is saying 2 different contradictory things. The 28th is saying he was a pure devotee, and 29th is saying because of the material conception of life. What is said like that? So basically, Arjuna is, as we discussed, he is just playing a part. But through all this episode, they want to leave a lesson for us. And the Acharyas give us some commentaries that what we can learn from this. So compassion is a quality of a pure devotee. When somebody is a devotee, naturally you should have compassion for others. That is what we learn from the 28th verse. What we learn from the 29th verse is this material conception of life will make you weak. But too much into my body, my, will become weak. Attachment makes you weak and blind. So that is what they're trying to teach us here, right? And in 30th verse says, Nacha shaknomi vastadum brahmativa cha me manaha nimittani cha pashyami vipritani keshava. So he says, I'm now unable to stand here any longer. I'm forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I foresee only evil, O killer of the Keshi demon. So he's saying, Nimittani cha pashyami vipritani keshava. The word is being used as vipritani. What I see now is all viprit. Viprit means opposite, contradictory, not desirable result. Everything is just going opposite and against. So this is a very, very important point here. If we don't take the signs of God into consideration, then all your material calculation will result in vipritani, your plans. And actually we can see it's not a theory, it's not a philosophy. You can see in this modern age, you see there's a lot of advancement that happened, right? We'll talk about technology and everything. So initially when the cars were, developed, so the idea was people can go in the car and they'll save a lot of time. But what is happening today? People are stuck in the traffic jams. So that is what is the vipritani. Right? You thought it will save your time, but see the result, opposite result. You're getting stuck. Right? Everywhere it is like that. Computers were created with the idea that it will make the life easy and people will have a lot of time because quickly they can do on the machine. And you see people no time, 24 hours in the gadgets only. So you see the idea was something else, but result is something else. This is what exactly it is happening. So viparitani, because you don't take the God consciousness into consideration. You think I am smart enough, I am intelligent enough, I know everything. And why to read Bhagavad Gita? What is the need of Bhagavad Gita? So this kind of arguments we can refute like this, quote this verse. So a lot of examples you can see, even that, social media. What was the intent of social media? To create a platform for people to socialize, right? So people should not be limited to their own family and neighborhood, but they should get the broader, forum to socialize. But it resulted in a lot of isolation. People are feeling loneliness, especially in this country. This loneliness is one of the major problems people of this country face. So on the social media, you might be having 5,000 friends, but in reality, not even a single friend. Recently, I saw one news article is posted in some forum. This one girl, it was back in India. She was sitting in the room, alone in the house. She was watching the TV. I don't know what exactly details are. I saw that picture. And something happened. She died while watching the TV itself. She passed away. She was sitting on the sofa like this. And for almost 1 year, she was sitting like that. Nobody even knocked the door. Nobody even realized that something, that kind of thing had happened in the neighborhood. For 1 year, she was just, and a dead body was just sitting on the sofa. And then it became too, spoiled and started smelling bad. And some neighbors, they might have realized and they informed. So they found like almost after 1 year, they found. So people are very active in social media. There's no real relations. There's no real, friends. So this is what happens. So it says, Vipritani Chakechava. Okay. So this is the first result. Okay, it's on, right? Thank you. So first reason he gives, compassion. Okay, we'll go now fast. The second reason, and we are coming to the last point, which is T. T is the turning point. You will see the whole thing will turn now. From 31 till last. Okay, so second argument, 31 to 35. The argument is loss of enjoyment in victory. So sometimes people talk about win-win situation. There's something called lose-lose situation also. If you win also, still you are a loser. So that is what he's very thoughtful, Arjuna. See, that is also another one thing we should learn from Arjuna is amidst of the battlefield, he could think all of those things. He's giving his reasons and arguments and logic. Right? So what he's saying is that all my family members, they would die in the battlefield. What is the use? What is the enjoyment? All alone, what I'll enjoy? So this is also another, material disease. People want to show off. You're not happy about having yourself unless you get the chance to show off. right? You get some new gadget or new car or something. You feel happy a little bit, but your real happiness comes when you go and show off to your friends, to your neighbors, or those who are envious of you. Then you get the most pleasure out of that. When they feel envious of you, say, yeah, I did it. So this is the material disease. So he's thinking, okay, if I win also, still I'm a loser. So loss of enjoyment. So first reason is C, compassion. Second reason here we are seeing E. Remember E. So the 4 reasons I'm giving from this chapter, total 5. 4 reasons are mentioned in this first chapter. C, D, E, F. Very simple to remember. Okay, C is for compassion. E is for loss of enjoyment. We talk about D and F also now. Okay, next, third argument. It talks about the fear of sinful reaction. It says if we kill all these people, and then a lot of sin will accrue a lot of sin. So he says, sin will this is 36 verse. Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna? Husband of God as a fortune. And how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? 36 verse. So what he's saying, what will gain? Right? And will unnecessarily get some sin also. So one word is being used here is atatai. Atatai means aggressors. What are these aggressors means? So Prabhupada in the purport, if you read 36 purport, there are 6 kind of aggressors. And the scripture says, if somebody kills these aggressors, you will not have any sin. It is allowed to kill these people. Shastra says, who are those 6 kind of people? Says here. Number 1, poison given. If somebody try to give you the poison, in your self-defense, you can kill that. You will not have any sin. Please don't take it out of the context. Don't kill someone. A disclaimer I'm giving here. Later, somebody should not come and, make a clip and say you said you can kill. Okay. Another person is one who sets fire to the house, one who attacks with deadly weapons, one who plunders riches, one who occupies another's land. And then 6, one who kidnaps a wife. So these are like 6 aggressors. They are called atatai. Somebody kill them in a situation, then one will not have any sin. So he's saying that, these are all aggressors because they plunder their riches also. They try to, insult the wife also and all of that. So they're actually aggressors. So he's saying, but there's no point. So Prabhupada points out that actually there is no sin, but Arjuna is thoughtful and is saying we will get the sin unnecessary. So why do? So this is the third argument. Okay. So what is the first argument? Quickly. Compassion, C. Second argument, loss of enjoyment, E. The third argument, fear of sinful reaction. So we covered C, E, and F. What is left is D. Let us come to the D now. Last. Fourth argument, destruction of family tradition. So it is starting from 39 to 42. And he gives various reasons. He says, if we kill all these people, this battle happens, then what happens? Says in the 39, destruction of the dynasty. Family tradition is stopped. So basically we see that how the traditional things we learn from elderly people always, our grandfathers and our elderly people in the family. If all they will die, tradition will be lost. Who will teach the next generation all of those things? So the family tradition will be lost. Irreligion will increase. Nobody would be able to teach what is religion. So in the 39th verse, and then, 40 verse. Women become polluted. Very important point. Because generally in a family, women are always protected by the man and the elderly man. So all these people will be killed here. And anyway, it is our family, only Kuru family. So then there would be people out, they will exploit these women who are unprotected by the man. Right? And they can pull into all kinds of illicit things, the women. Right? So he is very, very thoughtful. And when all such things happens, then unwanted progeny can happen. This is called in the scriptures as Varna Shankar. In this 40 verse you can read, Varna Shankar means unwanted progeny. You can read more details. So it may result in this kind of. So when all such progeny happens, and what will happen to the society? So everything has its own consequences, series of consequences. So Arjuna is very thoughtful here. And then 41 is saying, hellish life for those who destroy the family tradition. So he will become the cause of destroying the family tradition. He will also go to hell. no offering of the oblation to the forefathers, Pindadan. So there is a tradition and there is a significance of doing all those things. So he says all these people will die, will do the Pindadan, oblation to the forefathers, right? So this is the duty of the, the descendants, that they offer the Pindadan. So Pindadan is basically, to the departed souls. Now you don't know that where they go. Next destination, they can go to hell or they can go to heaven based on their karma. So either they go to the hell or they go to the heaven, but still they are in the bondage. So you want to liberate them. So there is a procedure. There is a system has been, given in the scriptures that do the Pindadan. Pindadan is you offer the Vishnu Prasad or Krishna Prasad to the departed soul, and by receiving that Prasad, that departed soul or that soul which is either in the hell or heaven, they can get liberated. So there are procedures like that in the scriptures. Nowadays, in the modern day and age, people say, oh, these are all rituals and we don't believe. Yeah, we can be blind, but this is how it is. Scripture says. So he is thoughtful that what will happen to all of those things. And the last, he's saying, culture is destroyed and hence community projects and family welfare activities are stopped. So these are multiple reasons which comes under destruction of family tradition. It falls here. Okay. So the 4 reasons, C, D, E, F. C is compassion, D is destruction of family tradition, E is loss of enjoyment, F is fear of sinful reactions. So these are the 4 arguments he gives here. And there's one more argument which he will give in the 2nd chapter. For that, you have to stay tuned and keep attending the sessions. You will learn that. And we'll just close with this. Then finally, Arjuna, this is the last verse. Before that also, I'll just point out one important thing. This is the 43 verse where he's saying, Narke niyatam vaso bhavati iti anushrama. So Arjuna, when he quoted all this, now Arjuna is clarifying it very clearly, saying these are not my ideas. And I am thinking like that. He's saying, O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those who destroy family tradition dwell always in hell. So he's saying, I have heard it from the disciplic succession. Anu susruma. So he's not creating his own concocted ideas. Oh, I think like that, I feel like that. No, it's talking from the scriptures. I have heard from the scriptures, from the great saintly people, that this is what will happen. So he's quoting from what he have heard, right? And then after that, and then finally, he was completely bewildered. And then turning point as we are seeing. So he says, I'll not be able to fight any longer. So he says, verse Sanjaya Vacha. So Sanjay is saying now, Eva Muktva Arjuna Sankhe Rato Basta Uva Vishat Vishrajasa Charam Chapam Soga Sambigna Manasa. Sanjay said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. So he kept aside his bow and arrow, and then his mind overwhelmed with grief. Shall not fight. So that is what is the situation of Arjuna, and that is where the 1st chapter ends. Okay, now before we close, just few important points for all of us to learn and take the note of it. Okay, let me show this verse and I'll ask the question to the people here. I should not be only talking all the time. People should also talk. Okay, so I'll read the translation. Those who are joining us online, please pay attention. I'm going to ask one question based on this translation. Arjuna, having the spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows, and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. So my question to all of you is, how many of you say that after seeing and all this situation happen, Arjuna is grief stricken? He is full of grief now. How many of you say yes or no? People are confused. It was so straight, and if still I'm asking the question, people are doubtful why I'm asking the question.
Arjuna did not want to fight.
Arjuna did not want to fight. So question is whether Arjuna was grief stricken or no. People can put in chat, those who are joining online.
He gave reasons for
was
not
full of
fighting.
compassion.
Okay, so I think a lot of people are saying yes, but I want to point you out on something again, I'll read the same thing. And I'll show that what is happening exactly. See here. Says, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows, and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. So who is overwhelmed with grief? Mind, not Arjuna. Mind got bewildered. So it's a very, very important point. Take the note of it. So we see that Arjuna's, if you see his history, his track record is 100%. He was never ever defeated by anyone. Nobody could ever in the history of Arjuna's life impact Arjuna so much that he's not able to hold his bow and arrow externally. But now Arjuna's situation is not able to hold it. He kept it aside. Why? Mind is grief stricken. So our real problem is not outside. We think people think that this is the problem, that is the problem, this person, my neighbor, my wife, my husband, my in-laws. You can blame the whole world. Problem is your mind. If your mind is not your friend, as we discussed already, right? 6th chapter. If your mind is not controlled, this is your worst enemy. When mind is controlled, your best friend. So sometimes mind start acting against you like your enemy. And then everything changes. So what we learn from this is people are working hard to make the externals wonderful. So let me get this, let me get that big house, big money, big car, big power, big position, and my life will be all set. The result will be Viparitani Chakeshava. Make your plans with your own ideas, and you don't consider Krishna's opinion, then result will be something else. So instead of working hard for fixing your externals, we should learn the art of fixing our internal, our consciousness, our mind, how to make our mind our friend. And that is what I pointed out in the last session also, that we don't have any control over the externals, but we have unlimited control over our consciousness. So try to fix the externals, thinking that this problem, that problem, I fix this, everything will be solved. Rather, you start working on your own mind, and that is what is the journey of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita doesn't teach you how to fix your externals. Nowhere Krishna will talk about how to get a good job, how to get good wife. Krishna is not talking all those. You figure out all of that. Whether you get a good job or good wife, life is going to be same only. Right? Krishna is teaching us work on internals. So that is what is the journey of Bhagavad Gita here. And another lesson that Krishna is teaching us from his own example as a leader, Krishna has not spoken anything. One chapter is already over. Right? People are wondering when he will speak. This person is only just going and blabbering so many things. That is also the quality of a leader. Leader should be a little receptive. Sometimes he should listen. Sometimes people are so restless like a boss. Somebody comes and try to say something. Before he says something, he'll give the solution. I get lost from here. I don't have the time for you. Right? People become so upset and disappointed. So leader's quality is he should give the opportunity for others to express. But now there is a line also. How much you allow them to express. Otherwise, they go on expressing only. Some people, they don't seek for any solution. And actually, this is the fact that the people in this world, those who are in problem, when they go and talk to someone, they don't go to talk to someone to seek some solution. They need one ear to hear. That's all. They don't look for some solution from you. You just listen to them because they're so overwhelmed with something. They want to just blurt it out, vomit it out. So yes, it helps sometimes to people to listen to the people, but how much to listen also is also we should figure out. Okay, so these are the few points. So let me pause here and see quickly if we have some questions we can take up. I know we are already running over the time, and I just did very brief, but still, next time I'll just be more conscious of doing just 1 hour or so. Okay, so anybody has any quick question? I'm hoping that it was helpful. And then I want to remind everyone that if you are not having Bhagavad Gita, if you can carry one copy of Bhagavad Gita, and after attending this summary, you can go and read yourself, especially some important, the key verses and key points. Okay, so just some homework for all of you, so that you go and open again Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, you'll open here only next Saturday. Okay, very simple homework. If you can learn the verse number 1, Dharma Kshetra Kurukshetra, very important verse. Learn that, memorize that. And then, as I already mentioned, that you learn the conch shells names, memorize that. And then we discussed about the reasons for not fighting. CDEF, compassion, destruction of family tradition, loss of enjoyment, fear of sinful reactions. Very simple homework. I think almost you will be done by before you get up. So please do this, please read and ask your questions. So we have one group also, Gita Live group. So I know that many people are here. Those are joining us first time. So you can join that group and you will get more updates and you can post your questions there. If anybody has any questions related to what we discussed, if you read something from Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, if you find some confusion, then you can post and we'll try to answer. Okay, so it is posted here, that tiny CC, that GL chat. So those who are new, and if you're not the part of this Gita Live group, you can click on this and you can join this group for more updates. And you can ask your questions there. Okay, so let's stop with this. We don't have much time today for the questions. So let's just quickly chant one round of Hare Krishna mantra now, and then we'll have the prasadam for everyone here. Okay, I also need one mala. We'll begin with that. So those who are joining new, for your reference, that we chant one round of Hare Krishna mantra at the end of the session. So this is the link for joining tiny.cc/GL chat. Okay, so let us chant now. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara